Hi everyone, welcome to Tony Fox Tarot. Thanks for joining me today and great to have you with me. Today we're looking at your future child and we're going to get an understanding of who that child is by looking at the characteristics of their nature. What's their personality traits? Who do they take after? Is it you? Is it your partner? Somebody else in your family line? We're going to look at the conception aspect, pregnancy, maybe even childbirth. But most importantly, we'll look at the developmental stages of your future child and touching on who they are as a baby, into infancy, and growing up into teenagehood, and maybe even into their adult years. So lots to get through. And before we get started, if you'd like to go down below and hit subscribe, tap on the bell icon while you're there. That'll give you notifications for any future readings that I post. Please like and share this video where you can. And if you're interested in the services that I offer as a psychic tarot reader, you can go to www.tonyfoxtarot.com. Plenty of information about who it is that I am, what it is that I do, and how it is you can access my service as a psychic tarot reader. Now, before you on the screen, we've got 4 different cards to choose from, and the idea is to choose a card that resonates with you really clearly. Once you've made that choice, that will be your reading. It's perfectly fine to choose more than one card if it comes through really strongly. And just remember, this is a general reading, so take what resonates and leave behind anything that doesn't. Now, we've got card 1, card 2, card 3, and card 4. Taking a moment to be with the cards, drawing in a nice deep breath. And as you release the breath, listening to your intuition, your inner voice, the energy of the cards. Which of these comes through for you the strongest? Is it card 1, card 2, card 3, or card 4? Down below, there are 4 different timestamps representing each of these different cards. If you'd like to go to the one you've chosen, I'll see you in a moment. Hi everyone, welcome to card number 1. So here we are, we're looking at your future child, and I'm really taken by this particular reading. I want to start up here with the Empress and the 6 of Pentacles. I felt a really important link to the maternal bloodline here. There's a sense of ancestral guidance coming through your mother's line. I felt this was your mother, like it could be, if your mother's passed, it might be your mother, but it could be a past grandmother, but it goes beyond. I feel that there are people watching on through the maternal line. Your grandmother, your great-grandmother, your great-great-grandmother, and so on. I felt this was a really important aspect to the reading. I felt in real life, I felt perhaps for some of you that your mother was a very important support for you at this time in terms of consideration for having a child. I felt that there was a lot of support for you to have a child, to make this happen when it was right for you. I felt on another level also that there was a very strong maternal drive coming from you, that you were very ready to have a child, very ready to give over to a child in a way where the idea of unconditional love and that very sort of reciprocal nature of just really taking the time to nurture something into life in a way that really like it was now, like it was kind of, it was very ready now, or very ready when you were ready to do this. And what I'm trying to say through all of this is that there is a high degree of guidance here in terms of taking you to this point to have a child. And so I felt that this was a very special insight in terms of, where this was all going for you. Very, very, very much about the female sort of energy, very matriarchal, very soft but firm, and very guided. So beautiful stuff in terms of a start point. Now, in terms of your child, I felt that the first child was a very feminine energy. It could be a female, could be a young girl, like a little girl, or, but always really important to keep that really broad in terms of interpretation. So, this could be, like a feminine energy within a male. Straight from the get-go, very, very soft, very gentle energy. And I felt that this child was bringing some sort of a balance that restored order in your world. I feel this child gives back straight away. It's not a needy child. It's not a child that screams for attention. It's not a child that screams for things in a needy way. I was just very, very gentle, very patient, very present in their body in a way where I felt a generosity coming through, a very kind and very supportive energy. It's like this child, I felt, would take after you or take after your bloodline. There's going to be a lot of traits in this child that just makes so much sense to you when it happens. You'll look at this child in a way that mirrors so much of what you've seen before you, of what's been passed on down to you. And I felt that this child in the beginning was just a very gentle period of really, restoring balance to your world, like a beautiful time. It just felt very right, very natural. In terms of the characteristics of this child, I felt from a very young age that this child would find their power. Power seems to be very strong in this reading. The power of the maternal line, the power of matriarchy is very strong here. It's this sense of identity through motherhood, coming down that line in a way where this child just taps straight into this energy and just feels very balanced, very right within themselves, very gentle, very soft, strong empathy for other people from a very early age, very supportive, very kind, very generous to people by nature. And that could actually be right from birth, I kind of feel this is not a taxing child. This is a child that gives back straight from the get-go. So it's quite beautiful stuff, really. But this child was going to be very important to you. All children are, obviously. But this child is important to you in a different way to maybe, many other children would be, sorry. I'm here with rebel, and I felt that this actually was really a very strong marker, really, within this child's nature. And I'll come back to that more in a little while. But I felt it really related to judgment and the Three of Wands. I felt this child was, as they grow, as they begin to find their own feet, this is a rebellious child. This is a child that has a vision of their own. They don't need to be told what to do. They know what they need to do. They stand very sure on their own 2 feet. They're quite unwavering in as much as, what they want to do is what they want to do, and they can't be told. So that could be sort of problematic on one level. I think that there's a stubbornness there, but it's not a stubbornness that sort of just blind stubbornness. It's there's substance in terms of their, I guess maybe at times, refusal to follow through in a way that doesn't make sense to them. It's, I don't want to be told what to do just for the sake of doing it. This child's going to question that. I felt that they would, turn their backs quite quickly and willingly on anybody that tried to make them do anything that they didn't want to do. And that whatever it is that they want to do, they'll do it anyway. And it's not out of spite. It's because they have a vision of their own. They just got this thing that they want to do. Like I said, whether it's playing a game, playing with toys at a really young age, or kind of going into sort of school, into high school, and just kind of like seeing what it is they want to do and doing the things that they like to do, and not wanting to have to comply to do the things that they don't, because it just doesn't make sense. I mean, that can be problematic on one level, but I don't feel it so much with this child. I think they're always very reasonable. They're always very sure in terms of process, and actually it always stacks up in a way where it's like, yeah, actually you've got a really good point. It's like, I can see why you wouldn't want to do it. So they're kind of testing boundaries on one level and trying to push it into new territory. There's a vision here, like that, and to me that says this is a person who, and I say a person, it's just has a strong vision of what is possible beyond what it is they're being told. Questions authority in a way that says, oh, hang on, do we really need to do it like that? At times can't be told. I felt that they grow up very quickly. Hitting around age 13, I think this child will sort of just like shoot straight up in terms of their understanding of the world. their thirst to really engage on a bigger picture that's sort of beyond maybe what other kids are doing. I feel like they grow up very quickly and they absorb everything in a way where it's like they're just thirsty for so much more. And I think that they'll want to get out into the world very quickly for experience. I don't feel necessarily that this child is so academically orientated at a younger age. I think that they're really just looking to put the pieces together in a way where it's a bit more practically applied. And it's because they know what they want and they stand their ground. You know, there's nothing restless about it. It's quite sure. It's, you know, like, and there's solid process there in terms of, you know, like having kind of just sort of saying, you know, this is what I like, this is what I don't like. You know, they're not sort of beating around the bush. I'm jumping ahead here. I'm going to come back a little bit more into the sort of infancy, you know, into kind of like, you know, younger years. I just felt that there's something really feminine here in terms of the energy. It's very beautiful. It's very gentle. It's I want to say pretty, you know, and you have to be careful there because I mean, like, you know, pretty is okay for boys and it's okay for girls. And like, again, this could be a boy with that kind of feminine energy and that's okay too. But there is just something really angelic in a way, you know, that I kind of feel there's a lot of positivity in that early sort of stage, you know, from childbirth into sort of up to about 12, 13. I get to very, very, very much captured by imagination and sort of entranced in a state of play that is real. You know what I'm saying? It's like they have a belief in all things that are possible. And, you know, so play is an important part of that, which it is for most kids. But this is a child who really believes in the impossible, you know, like they believe in miracles, they believe in magic, they believe anything can happen. And it's really engaging to be with that because it becomes very contagious and quite hypnotic. You become absorbed into this child's make-believe world in a way that becomes real because it is real to them. And it makes you question what's real and what's not real through the eyes of this very beautiful, very intelligent child. This is a very creative individual is what I'm picking up here. Really absorbed in a state of imagination and the potential of creating anything. You know, it's you know, and it's fused with giving. So they're giving you this gift of insight. They're giving you this gift of seeing the potential of how things can be really done. They're asking you to surrender over into being just in that moment of magic. And it kind of ties in with what I'm trying to sort of say at the later stage of them going into a more rebelliousness, you know. It's like, you know what? I've seen the magic and it's real. I've experienced it. I've given it to other people. And that's kind of what their gift is to help people to see beyond the parameters of what it is that they've been told. And I felt that this child had a very strong purpose in your life, in the lineage of the maternal bloodline coming through to you. They're here to teach you that, or to reinforce, it's not just to teach, but it's kind of to reinforce the strengths of femininity, the strengths of the matriarchy. And a lot of that rebelliousness will be about the patriarchy. It's like, you know, I'm not going to be told by other men what it is that I need to do. I'm not going to be told by institutions that are run by men what it is that I should be doing. I'm going to be told by other men just because that's what they say. It's like, I'm going to do things my way. I'm going to stand on my own 2 feet and I'm going to own my femininity. I'm going to own the magic of my imagination. I'm going to own my bloodline. I'm going to stand strong. I'm going to stand in my power. I'm going to be in my power. And I am going to give that back. It's just really, for me, it sort of sends tingles up my spine a little. It feels like it's potent. It feels like it has a lot of purpose, right? And if I come back to the rebelliousness side of this child, it's the strength of feminine archetypes to inspire, yeah? Challenging the patriarch is really, really cool stuff, yeah? I didn't feel the shadow aspect was applicable with this child. I think very positively engaged in terms of the rebelliousness. And I felt the same with the magical aspect on the shadow attribute. I didn't feel that was relevant. Sorry, I felt that it was very much about the light attribute. There's a lot of lightness here, a lot of power in terms of the positivity. Transforming that negative into positivity is what it's all about. So they've got purpose, they've got strength or purpose in their world. They're coming through straight from the get-go with messages that are about balancing and healing and moving forward in a way that is self-empowered, but drawing from their bloodline. Coming over here to strength and the Eight of Pentacles, I felt that as they got older, so getting into teens, later teens, I felt that there was just a very patient individual who was very gentle in their process, very considered of their own process, very creative. I felt like this was a very creative person, moving into their, as a young person, I kind of felt that they evolve an amazing talent. This creativity really comes up into sort of like a very pointed opportunity that is very much about using their hands and crafting or engineering things. It could be an artist, it could be somebody who actually makes things with their hands, it could be somebody who is also in business. Yeah. Eight of Pentacles is a very strong business orientated card. Strength again reflects very strong nature of creativity. I felt that this was somebody who was very happy in themselves and that they always were like this. But as they get older, the patience is what really becomes quite inspiring for other people. It's they're very methodical, very patient, but also just a strong sense of self-confidence right the way through. I don't think there's not much more that you could ask for in my eyes for a child than for a child to have self-confidence, to teach. And I don't feel like you have to teach them that. I think that what they are going to do is to teach you this. And to have that is just everything. A child that can go out in the world and say, I am who it is that I am, and I can do whatever it is that I want to do. That's a child who will make a mark on the world. I don't feel emotional baggage here because at the end of the day, this child is very adjusted. And they can be very practical. And again, the femininity is balanced with the masculinity, because I do feel that there is also a side of them that is very sort of tomboyish. And it could be that this is a guy with a lot of this feminine stuff. It's okay to own the femininity. We're all parts of the same puzzle, all is one. And, so it's important not to get stuck on one thing in terms of your interpretation of it being a boy and a girl or a girl. I felt that this was going to be somebody who in their later stages of life, that would be very successful in business, very creative in terms of producing products, production line perhaps, their own brand perhaps, working in business very successfully. The giving nature for me is philanthropic. It's somebody who wants to give back. This is a child who's not afraid to give, but as they get older, not afraid to actually put their money where their mouth is and actually to put some money in the pot, to help other people. Giving to charity, giving where it counts, helping out, in a soup kitchen, being hands-on, maybe rallying to the cause to support other people in a way that makes a difference. There's substance. The Pentacles, they're about substance. It's actually about doing the business and actually making something out of it. They're not talk, they're all action. This child's going to be very action-based. I felt this is a child who was very at one with nature. Yeah. The Empress, a very strong, nurturing, maternal card, but also a very strong card for nature. This is a child that likes to be in nature, who draws from nature, who knows how to work with nature in a way that actually creatively inspires them. You can see that again also here with Strength, which is another card that has a strong affinity to nature. Very environmentally aware, very ethically and morally driven to help others to, it's all about substance here. I felt excited about this reading. I feel that this child has a lot to give. I think going to be one thing I'm going to say here, just to kind of round things up, is this. I do feel this is a quiet child. A quiet child. What they have to say, what they have to do, it's sure in its purpose, but they're not doing that in a loud and extrovert way. This is a quiet achiever. And when they say something, you'll sit up and notice, because they'll only say what needs to be said in a way where it needs to be impactful. They don't talk just for the sake of talking. They're not here to fill space. Again, it comes back to the sense of purpose, sense of strong identity and confidence. They don't need to be something that they're not. They just are who they are. This is a pleasure, this child. I feel like you're going to have a very strong relationship specifically with this child. It'll be an important child to you. I think you give each other a lot. This child will teach you a lot. And I hope this reading has made some sense. And if it has, feel free to leave some comments down below. It'd be great to get your feedback. Like and share this video where you can. Hit subscribe. Tap on the bell icon. That'll give you notifications for any future readings that I post. And if you're interested in the services that I offer as a psychic tarot reader, you can go to www.tonyfoxtarot.com. Plenty of information about who it is that I am, what it is that I do, and how it is you can access my service as a psychic tarot reader. Thanks very much and take care. Hi everyone, welcome to card number 2. This is your reading and we are looking at your future child today. So let's jump in and have a look and see what's going on. I really felt a strong masculine energy coming through. I wondered whether this could be a boy. It doesn't have to be a boy, of course. It could be masculine energy within a girl. But it does come out very strongly with this almost like a boyish charm. I felt up here with Justice and the Page of Pentacles. I kind of felt this was a very bright child, very inquisitive, very naturally driven to figure things out, you know, likes to get hands-on straight away with stuff. Plays with toys, pulls them apart, wants to understand how they're put together. And that kind of stays with them. It sort of grows or develops into like a technical understanding of how things work, essentially. I wondered whether the way this child was going to be conceived, for some of you, was like an IVF child. Like, I felt technicality or science was somehow infused into this reading. Whether there was some sort of, you know, sort of scientific kind of drive to have a child in terms of, you know, technically conceiving them into this world. It doesn't have to be for everybody, of course. There was a rational process to it. It's kind of like, it's almost like a projection ahead of like a timeline, you know, putting a date in the diary as to when you're going to conceive or when you're going to have the child. Maybe that means like a cesarean birth, you know, everything's kind of rationalized and technically forecast in terms of, you know, it being very methodical. And I don't know, it might not make sense now, and it certainly doesn't have to fit the picture for everybody, but I felt that was a part of this for some people. I'm going to come down here to the Moon and the Two of Cups, and I felt, you know, like straight from the start, you know, this child's a deeply sensitive child who is very intuitively bound to you in a way that just takes your heart. You know, you could say that about all children, but there's a really special relationship between you and them. And this child comes at a time where it draws you and your partner very close together, very tight trio. But you and this child in particular are very bound at a very deep heart level. This child will bring a lot of healing to you, and you will bring a lot of healing to this child. I felt that the relationship was very special, very close. You worry for this child worries for you. You're going to be very similar in very many ways at a heart level. Very deeply perceptive child. Intuitively understands everything that's going on without you having or them to have to put words to it. They know how you feel. They know how other people feel. They're perceptive at a level that understands when people are lying, understands when people are, you know, deceiving you or them. You know, like they just cut straight through to the bone, and they understand where it matters. Their process is very clear on that level. You will speak to each other at an intuitive level. You'll sense each other when you need each other. if you're feeling unwell, they'll be worried about you. They'll know that you're unwell. Same for you, for them. Yeah, it kind of runs like that. Very sensitive, knows how to read the room, very intuitive with people, driven by people. They're very influenced by people, magnetized by people is what I get. They like to be around people in a way where they draw that energy in, and they learn a lot through these experiences of picking up on people's energy, reading through what it is they're saying, figuring out what's going in terms of the interpersonal dynamics and relationships. Very interesting stuff. It's a child who has a very solid grasp of their instinctual self. I felt this child had a healing touch. They know what needs to be said, and they know when it needs to be said. They know what needs to be done. They know when it needs to be done. You know, it's just this child knows how to read the room. And I'm talking right from the go, maybe not so, maybe not, well, in some ways, I think even as a baby, you'll pick up on a lot of what I'm talking about here. But as they get older and, they begin to sort of talk, walk, it'll become more apparent. They'll always be looking out for you, and that will be something that will stay with you throughout your life. This child will always look out over you. And even when they've grown up and they're not around, when you need them, they'll just call. They'll know when you need them. They'll know exactly what needs to be said to pick you up if you're feeling down. I felt this child was going to be very good with animals, that they had a love of animals. They were very drawn to the nature of animals. They spoke to animals, is what I'm trying to say. And animals spoke to them. That animals were very drawn to them. Special relationship with cats and dogs, but any animal, they just have this. Again, they've got this healing touch. Good with things like plants and nature, but animals, it all ties in. It's like they know how to connect, and they know how to energetically resonate and communicate. So very, very special on that level. Definitely. I felt like when we're talking sort of maybe from about the age of around 3, I felt that but the brightness will be there from the start, but it'll really become apparent about that age 3. The technical understanding of how things work will become quite prominent, and they're ahead of the development of other children. You'll be contrasting it with other mothers and fathers, looking at their kids compared to your child, and your child will always come out on top, ahead of the game. Very curious, very intelligent, real thirst for technical knowledge. How things are put together, taking it apart, putting it back together. Very bright as a button is what I get. Knows how to fix things, gets really hands-on with stuff. Just absolutely taken, by their curiosity and their thirst for knowledge, essentially. As they're growing and developing, books, databases, research, really important for this child. It's like right in there, figuring it all out, soaking it all up. It's just like information, download, essentially. It's just like this child just takes it all on. And as they begin to sort of go into their schooling, it's sort of, they're just jumping in a way where they come first at everything. Top of class, A grade student, A+. Very studious and really loving it, soaking it up, and not trying to prove anything. They're just good at doing it. And you'll be like, oh my God, I don't have to worry about any of this stuff. It's like, this is a child who naturally wants to learn is every child. But when it comes to schoolwork, it's like you won't have to keep on this child's tail. They'll be doing extra work because they'll know what they're doing, and they'll be loving what they're doing, and they'll have a lot to teach other children. I felt that was actually really important with this child, that somehow this child would be almost like a prefect or a young mentor. It's a child who other children would look up to. I feel that they'd be members of like lots of different groups, little societies, little groups, doing lots of different things. You'd be running around a lot in terms of keeping this child going with their agenda. It's like, Monday they've got, something after school. Tuesday they've got something after school. It's like every single day there's something going on because they've got this thirst to socialize, to engage academically, to learn, to soak up knowledge, but also to be there for other people. This curiousness, the intelligence, the hands-on nature of just kind of wanting to be in there doing all of this stuff. It's very bright, it's articulate, it's motivated, and it's positive. I think what I'm picking up most of all from what I'm saying about this aspect is just so positive. Like it's a can-do nature. It's a can-do nature. I'm going to come over here to the Hermit and the Six of Pentacles. I felt as this child is growing into their, I guess maybe probably around sort of 12, 13, so young teens into teens, young person years, the fusion between, I guess, like an academic and sort of technical curiosity and the idea of people and understanding at a more intuitive level begins to really become quite infused and apparent. And it's this search to put things right at a more social or community level. I feel that they'll become really attuned to the idea of inequality. And I don't want that to sound heavy because it's not at all. I just felt like there's a spiritual nature of this child becomes quite apparent by this time, where they really begin to shed light or become enlightened about, inequalities, about important issues that, point to certain causes that really need to be highlighted, that relate to humanity and the human condition and helping other people and putting things right. So I think it's really important. I think they'll begin to question all of that, and they'll begin to highlight or identify where things aren't right in the more immediate nature of their community, perhaps. Maybe at school or with what's going on around you socially. And it is that sort of, that idea of needing to kind of bring fairness to a situation and to make things right, to do good is what I'm trying to say. This is a child who will be driven to do good things for people. Beautiful stuff. And they'll want to help other people, that are close by. It might be a neighbor. You might have a neighbor that's in need, like an old person living next door, or another child who's not doing so well with school, or just identifying some kind of racial problem that some other child is having, and the need to kind of stand up for them. They'll be in there trying to sort of put things right and just do the right thing. Like a decent person, a decent human being, but driven to do something to make a difference. Restoring balance and kindness and generosity. Restoring the balance with kindness and generosity, because this is a kind child. This is a kind child who straight from the get-go is very drawn at an intuitive level to associate with you, and that begins to grow as their world opens up and light begins to feed into their understanding of how things work for other people, and they want to set things right so that other people feel better about themselves. This is a child who has a healing touch, who has a giving nature, who is generous, and who wants to make a difference. It's really amazing stuff. At the same time, driven by an academic purpose. I really feel that as they grow up, I question whether, as they get older, whether they might actually go into some kind of law degree or some area of justice. Justice. Justice is all about justice and fairness and doing the right thing. It's very much about the law, but it's a broad concept as well. And coupled with the Page of Cups, which is the studious card of academia, driven to study the idea of, fairness and justice, equality. You know, so I kind of feel that this has a very big impact on their later life in terms of how they will actually develop and grow and what it is they will actually do. And I felt that that was going to be a big focus for them. Excuse me. I wanted to come over here to the hero or heroine, which really ties in with what I'm talking about down here at the Hermit and the Six of Pentacles. You know, this is a child that will go the extra distance to make good. And, you know, their achievements are going to be outstanding. You know, people will look up to them. You know, they will be that person who has noble qualities and works incredibly hard, like superhuman efforts to actually really make a big difference. They're thinking about the big picture, they're putting in the efforts and they're really going there. So quite driven. And I felt that they were incredibly hardworking and that people would look up to this child. This child is like an example to other people. They're not looking for that. That's what other people are putting onto this child. That people will look at this child as like a hero or a heroine from a very young age. And I felt Pioneer expanded on a lot of what we're talking about. This because this is a child who is a light bearer. You know, I said that from the beginning. They're searching for answers. They're shedding light on the unknown. They have a love of the unknown. They want to put light into the darkness. I think that's actually, for me, what says everything about this child. Putting light into the darkness. It's all about knowledge and understanding, coupled with intuitive, instinctual drive that identifies how people really feel and what needs to be done in order to heal. You know, it's beautiful, you know, and it kind of culminates with this idea of justice and, you know, equality and doing the right thing. Look, I hope this reading has made some sense, and if it has, feel free to leave some comments down below. It'd be great to get your feedback. Like and share this video where you can. Hit subscribe. Tap on the bell icon. That'll give you notifications for any future readings that I post. And if you're interested in the services that I offer as a psychic tarot reader, you can go to www.tonyfoxtarot.com. There's plenty of information about me, who it is that I am, what it is that I do, and how it is that you can access my service as a psychic tarot reader. Thank you very much. Take care. Hi everyone, welcome to card number 3. This is your reading, and today we're looking at your future child. So let's jump in and have a look and see what's going on here with this child. Well, first up, I felt this was one of two children. I felt that this was going to be the first. Now, it doesn't mean to say that you're only going to have 2 children, but I felt this was one of 2 children who would be very close. Peas of a pod, very close relationship, very short time difference between the both of them, one born after the other very closely. So yeah, and so they'll be brought up very close, very similar in ages, and I thought they spent a lot of time together. This is the first child of 2, but I felt like you were getting 2 for the price of 1 with this child. I feel like you've got a lot to deal with in terms of energy here. This is a child that bursts forth into the world in a very dynamic way. And the energy is unbridled. It's very, I don't think there's anything wrong with this either, by the way. I just felt dynamic, you know, energy was at the core of who this person was. And that it was a characteristic that actually stayed with them throughout their life. It's a part of their nature. I felt there was a charm offensive about this child here with the Sun and the 4 of Wands. This is a beautiful child, a beautiful baby. And I felt that they would be adored by everybody. It's, you know, like it's a baby that everybody wants to hold. It's a baby that everybody wants to cuddle. You know, you won't have a problem with getting somebody to babysit for you, put it that way. It's a pleasure to be with this child. And they are fully indulged. People want to give this child gifts. People want to spend time with this child. There's an energy about them, most definitely. I want to say golden child. I feel this child is... There's something quite fortuitous in energetic terms. I kind of feel that this child is gifted. you know? And I know everybody thinks that their child is gifted, but there is actually something about this child, which I will go into more about later. But it just kind of, it starts with the fact that they bring a lot of positive energy. You can see it with the cards. There's a lot of positive energy, a lot of light with this child. Something quite spiritual by nature. And the fact that everybody is drawn to them because of that energy is very central to what I'm seeing here. Very indulged, adored by everybody. They'll get away with everything. I kind of, that's the thing I feel about this child. Butter wouldn't melt in their mouth. You know that saying? It's like, if they've done something wrong, you know, you'll just look at them, but you can't get angry with them because there's something really, I don't know, it just kind of cancels that vibe out. If you're going to get angry, it's like you won't get anywhere with it because they'll look at you and you will melt. It's that feeling of just, I guess, neutralizing, you know, any negative vibe. It's actually really, really lovely. So I felt this was a child who got a lot of attention, but also loved a lot of attention. You know, it's going to be come at a time for you and whoever it is that you're with, where it will bring in a lot of positive change into your lives. You know, this child, you know, and straight from conception, you know, the resonance in your lives, the vibration will just change up, and all of a sudden there will be a lot of positivity that will flow into your world as a consequence. That's the vibration that this child pulls in. They know their place, and they're very central and very much at the heart of family. You know, like this is a child who anchors the family. Not to say that the world spins around this child or the universe spins around this child. It's just it's the energy. As they get older, okay, so, you know, like growing up 2-3 years old, you know, it's really sort of starting to step up. But, you know, I think this child can be a bit of a troublemaker in a very kind of tongue-in-cheek way. I felt this was a very impulsive kid, you know? You know, you can't bridle the energy. Like, the energy is bursting forth in a way where they're kind of, you know, just looking for trouble. They need to expel energy constantly. And there is something very dynamic about their personality. You know, like, they're quite charismatic. And so there's a tendency to sort of, you know, to kind of, how do you say it? It's like they wrap everybody around their finger. Yeah, they wrap everybody around their little finger. So they can be a bit of a troublemaker like that, but it's always tongue in cheek. It's you know, they get a little bit of a trickster, you know, the magician. It's like, this is about stirring the pot and having some dynamic interplay. You know, lots of fun and games. Keeping things charged in a way where you're always having to guess what's going on. You know, you never know what's going to come up, you know, against you, you know, from one day to the next, because this child is constantly sort of doing things that, you know, it's keeping you on your toes, right? You just, you know, there's an unpredictability about their nature. There's an unpredictability of what is it they're going to engage with, what is it they're going to bring home, what sort of trouble it is that they're going to make. And I think from that point of view, it's like they're a little bit of a ringleader. You know, they know how to snare other people into, to kind of, you know, to I guess to sort of, you know, make fun happen. You know, so and I felt maybe that's where this child's younger sibling would be really a big part of their world. It's like they've got like a partner in crime, somebody who they can sort of, you know, rope in and make more trouble, essentially, you know. So I kind of felt that but it was really, it was again, this is tongue in cheek, and it's actually about having a lot of fun. And I felt that, you know, there was just something very entertaining about this idea of having fun. And I felt this child liked to be at the center of attention, and they were always at the center of attention. You know, they're good on stage. I think they're a bit of a performer, and people indulge them because at the end of the day, they're really good fun. This is a child who is good value for the family. I've got a lot of friends, as they get older and they're kind of going into school. I felt, again, always kind of, the ringleader, but drawing in a lot of friends. And I felt that they didn't sort of just like play with one friend or one group of friends. It's like they were really across the board and had lots of different types of friends. And they socialized with lots of different circles. And I like that because, there's something quite expressive and open about their personality. They're not sort of fixed on how things should be. They want to try different experiences, and they're attuned to people's energies, and they kind of like you because at the end of the day, you complement their energy in a way where they can have a bit of fun and interplay on that level that, is a little bit more magical, really. It's intuitive, it's impulsive on one level, but at the same time, it's highly energetic, and it's really focused on dynamic fun. So look, and also very funny, I would have said as well. There is something very diplomatic about them. I felt that this child had the ability, again, to neutralize negativity. It's like, so if like if there's a problem between you and your partner, or they see a problem between two other people, whether that's at school or, within the family, it's like, they just have this ability to draw people together in a way where it rebalances the situation. And and because they take charge, people kind of are drawn to them in a way where they sort of surrender over the moment to this child to infuse their energy and to take the lead and to rebalance the situation. So it's a bit of a healing vibe, but it's also infused with a very charismatic personality. Because this is quite a big personality. Yeah, a lot of energy. Definitely, you're going to have your hands very full from a very young age. Around 2 years old, I would have said. Yeah, you've got your hands full, and I felt sport would be really important for this child. Gymnastics in particular, there's the flexibility and agileness. Very quick, very nimble, very agile, very sporty, very athletic. As they got older, I felt that this was a child who really stood out from the crowd. Something very attractive about their energy, very attractive about the way they look. People are very drawn to them because they have charisma. The golden child, it stays with them. The energy is always there. It's always uplifted. You get 2 for the price of 1. They're a lot of good fun to be with. They have everybody wrapped around their little finger. They're a total ringleader. I don't know if I said this from the beginning, I felt this was a very strong male energy. But, always open mind, female, male, we've all got it in one. So, but it's the masculine energy that is very strong here. I love this, Midas Miser. I thought it was the light attribute here, and that it built on this idea of magician and the 2 of Pentacles. As this child kind of grows into a young person, into adulthood. Very entrepreneurial. And has, again, clearly, as I said, ability to turn anything into gold. I felt that this child had exploitive talent. That if they saw an opportunity, they knew how to make it into gold. Motivated by opportunity. You can see that with the Magician and the 2 of Pentacles. Always landing on their feet. Always seeing the potential of gold in everything. Flipping things. Making something out of nothing. And making it into something that is really desirable and that everybody wants. Later in life, that could be about flipping finances, flipping houses. The entrepreneurial nature, it's the confidence. It's to say, I can see opportunity and I run with it. It's like, it's a very confident position. Very sharing child, but also very sharing throughout their life. You can see that here with the 2 of Pentacles. just very giving, really there for you with substance, financially, materially, puts their hand in, and they're accountable in terms of giving you a hand. So like if you need help around the house, this is a child you can rely on, and they'll always make fun of the situation. So it's kind of a pleasure it's not a chore to them. It's just an opportunity to have a bit of fun in a way that they can kind of, exploit the moment, really. It's, the magician is a strong card here because this sort of, reflects a wheeler dealer nature. I don't want that to sound shonky because it's not. It's just like, this is somebody who knows how to take the lead and how to whip up a dynamic outcome by seizing the moment. It's very spiritual because they kind of know how just to be in the moment and actually to kind of work with what's in front of them. I don't feel emotional baggage with this child. I don't feel any psychological challenges that are kind of, there's full confidence here and lots of positivity. The energy of the cards is really high vibrational. I really like this. The Fool and the Ace of Swords, can be a bit of a loner. I think the one thing that does stand out here is that this child is not good with confrontation and not good with negativity. Doesn't like negativity to be a part of the equation. Love it. That's actually really, again, it's the positivity. So they avoid confrontation. They don't want to take on heaviness. It's like, they just kind of want to be a bit carefree, don't take it on. Water off of a duck's back. The Fool's very much like that because, again, it's like in the moment. It's inspirational. It's very spiritual. It's doing things in a way where it doesn't get heavy, loaded down. But the Ace of Swords is highly perceptive and very similar. It doesn't want to take anything on. It's quite decisive in its action. It just wants to be clear of drama. The child's not into drama, not into getting weighted down, but highly perceptive. And I felt that they were very much about keeping things light, but at the same time, their mind is so deeply perceptive, it can be very hard to fathom the true depth of their character. They don't reveal a lot of the complexity that actually goes on deep down. I think this is quite a sophisticated individual. And they can be a little bit blasé, and it might even come across as like a superiority complex, but it's not. They just like to keep you guessing. They like to keep you on your toes. The trickster plays out again with the Fool. And the Ace of Swords. The trickster is, that when I say trickster, it's an interchangeable term that really does reflect an energetic kind of resonance that I see in the magician and in the Fool. I think the one thing I would say though, if you did push too hard, this child would cut you to the bone. And when I say that, I don't mean that they would be violent. I just mean that they would just like put you in your place and you wouldn't know what had hit you. Because they're deeply perceptive. It's that they'll see your flaw and they'll just serve it up. So I don't feel that there would be much cause for that, but it's there. It's like there's an armor there. There's a. If they have to retaliate, they retaliate with intelligence. Is what I'm trying to say. Keeping it light, keeping it carefree, avoiding confrontation, really positive energy. And I just kind of want to sort of, I guess, what do? I want to round it off really here with the Seeker. Again, very much about the light attribute, which is, sort of builds on this idea of spirituality. I did feel as this child got older into their teens, moving into their adulthood, that they really did, they really did carve out this personal, very spiritual journey. Oh, it's a really positive reading. I really like it. Anyway, look, I hope this has made some sense to you. And if it has, feel free to leave some comments down below. It'd be great to get your feedback. Like and share this video where you can. Hit subscribe. Tap on the bell icon. That'll give you notifications for any future readings that I post. And if you're interested in the services that I offer as a psychic tarot reader, you can go to www.tonyfoxtarot.com. Plenty of information about who it is that I am, what it is that I do, and how it is you can access my service as a psychic tarot reader. Thanks very much and take care. Hi everyone, welcome to card number 4. This is your reading, and today we are looking at your future child. So let's jump in and have a look and see what's going on. Now, I just want to say I pick up a definite feminine energy here. So it could be a girl. Enormous amount of femininity here. And I want to start here with the Lovers of the Ace of Cups. I really felt an importance of the relationship with you and your partner at the time of conception. I felt that you were in a really good place in your life, in your lives, the both of you. I felt that this was a child that was made out of love, which of course all children probably should be, but it doesn't necessarily mean that they are. And I felt that conception point, was the start of a process that was really quite beautiful in terms of the pregnancy. I felt the pregnancy was going to be an absolute breeze, and that it would be an enjoyable pregnancy that you would never want to stop having. It's kind of like it's almost like you didn't want to have the child because you just wanted to be pregnant. Every day you honored or appreciated just how amazing you felt carrying this child. It's a very strong connection between you and this child right from the get-go. And what I really like about this reading, but also that particular description, is that there's an absolute balance of mother and father attributes, from an energetic point of view. I just kind of felt there was the masculine and the feminine nurturing qualities straight in there from the get-go in a way that just kind of gave this a very almost like a very pure conception, but a very balanced one that brought this child into the world in a very beautiful way. I felt that this child as a baby had a purity of soul, a purity of spirit. There was just something that exuded like a loving capacity that reflected, I guess, the conception and the pregnancy. And I didn't get a gripey child. This is a child who just feels very like a baby, who feels very contented, and it continues to be that way throughout. There's no crying for hours. There's no pushback. It's a really easygoing process in terms of having a baby. I felt this baby slept solidly. I felt that this baby was an envy for many other parents because it just seemed to be so, I guess, carefree. What I really liked about the lovers and the Ace of Cups, I gotta be honest with you, I felt there was something guided about this pregnancy. I felt this child would be watched over. I felt a very spiritual connection to this child, maybe from the angelic realm or from like a spiritual force of purity, of love. I just felt that this child carried through an almost innocence, a purity, a loving intent that had purpose in this world. So I felt that, like as a young child, maybe 2-3 years old, like this is a little child who just wants to evoke a really innocent response, but at the same time is giving love all the time. Like they're tapping you on the knee, or trying to put something in your hand that they found. They're constantly trying to give something, of themselves, of the moment, in a way where they're soliciting a response that's a smile. But essentially it's about trying to find love, but at the same time it's finding love through giving love. So it's a constant reciprocal flow. I just didn't feel that you ever got tired of this child, either as a baby or as a little child, because they're constantly giving you back something in return, So if you're holding this child, there's just a resonance there that, just balances things out in a way where you feel good. It's just like it's a neutralizing vibe that brings in love. Very sensitive, very gentle, as a child. Very, very innocent, very tender. For me, I kind of felt that this would be a very affectionate child that had a high degree of sensitivity in terms of their emotional self. Emotionally developed at a very young age is what I feel. That there's an awareness of love, there's an awareness of giving, there's an awareness of how it is that it makes you feel. An intention to solicit that in a way that keeps it going, so that everybody feels the unconditional love that they were brought into this world with. So beautiful stuff, very beautiful stuff. I felt the really interesting part for me about this reading is there's a real even split in terms of how this child is also brought up and the influences of the masculine and the feminine and how that plays out. I felt down here with the Empress and the Six of Cups, I felt a really special relationship with the mother. It's like a real mum's child, you know, just wants to be really close to you all the time. You know, this is like a shadow self. You know, they're always following you around, looking up to you, looking at what you're doing. And I you know, you could say that about a lot of kids, but this is quite marked. You know, this child really looks to you, absorbs everything it is that you're doing in a way where they kind of want to be you. And in some ways, it's like a little you. I felt, you know, this child would follow in your footsteps in so many ways. And, you know, they would always be very close to you. So a very special relationship with, I'm saying you, I'm saying the mother, so whoever the mother is. But there's a love, immediately there's a sort of growing up, maybe into their, you know, sort of 4 to 10, 12 years old. I felt that they got along with other children really well. I felt from a social point of view, they integrated really easily. Other kids really liked this child because there's an innocence there. And there's that kind of loving, nurturing quality. It's kind of, they exist in this bubble that they draw everybody into, and everybody wants to. It's like people feel safe to be around this child. You know, it brings innocence to you. It helps you to leave all your cares somewhere else. You know, like the problems of the day just kind of, you know, fade away when you see this child, because this child brings a smile to your face. I mean, that is not the case with all children. You know, some children, you know, bring a contorted, you know, face to you know, in terms of a dynamic is what I'm trying to say. It's not to say that other children are good or that they're bad. I felt that the other thing about this child that seemed to be really interesting was that they had a really nurturing instinct. And you can see that here with mother. The mother archetype is embedded into their DNA. This idea of looking out for other people, of giving to other people in an unconditional way, of nurturing other people or things or animals or life. They have a special touch, okay? So there is something there within them that just it's like a touch of life, you know? It's a loving touch that brings life to a healing point or to a point of balance and growth is what I felt. And they loved little kids, you know, like, so kids that are younger than them, maybe babies. They want to sort of, you know, hold babies, nurture babies, maybe look out for other kids who aren't doing so well. Any kind of situation where they can kind of, you know, contribute in some way that makes other people feel better, nurtures them. Very, very, very strong. I felt, jumping right down the line in terms of going into adulthood, I felt that this child would have many children. So this child will bring you a lot of grandchildren. There was a maternal instinct here that was very strong, and a paternal instinct as well, if it's a boy. Very, very strong drive to have children, maybe from a younger age as well. I don't mean teens. I kind of felt that this child had a lot to do before they would have children, but children will be very important to them, and it will be very important for them to give you children. They want to carry on the family name. They want the family lineage to become apparent in a way where you see what is inherent of you coming down the line. This is going to be very important to this child. It will also be very important to you. They want to follow in your footsteps in many ways. So whatever it is that you've done to bring them into this world, they want to kind of replicate that process in many ways. So family heritage, you know, traditions, all of that sort of stuff is going to be really important to this child. And they will have absorbed all of that from a very, very young age as well. So, you know, it's just going to be part and parcel of what this process is all about for them. I don't know if I already said, I did feel that this was a very popular child because there's just something very easygoing about them. You know, who doesn't want to be around somebody who gives love, you know, who intends the best kind of, who has the best intent upon other people. I mean, everybody wants a piece of that action. Everybody wants a slice of that. It's we don't have enough of that in our day-to-day lives. And that will be something that will be very apparent from this child right from the get-go and will carry on right throughout their life. I felt that nature was really important for this child. The Empress, the Six of Cups, the Queen of Pentacles, these cards are really strong nature cards. They love to be in it, out and about in it. So playing out in nature. But as they get older, I kind of felt nature was a really influential, I guess, aspect to their lives. So things like, maybe working towards things like, in later life, like horticulture, landscape design, environmental studies. Maybe becoming like an eco-warrior, just the environment was really important for this child. It was at the center of their existence. There was an they were enchanted by nature. They loved to be in nature. They loved to understand what nature was about. It's the wonderment of nature, definitely. But it's also the science of nature. I kind of felt that there was like maybe a course of study that really became quite apparent through this idea of what nature had to offer. The instinctual self is very at home with nature. Nature is, very unconditional in terms of what it has to offer. And this child has that unconditional love. So, but definitely this idea of the mother archetype, very strong, unconditional love, the idea of having children, of looking after others, nurturing life, very, very, very it's very powerful. Very, very powerful. And I felt that this is where things were really interesting, because there's a flip side to this child's development. I kind of maybe felt maybe a little bit at the same time, or maybe as they're getting old, very strong relationship with the father. I didn't know that they looked like the father so much. Maybe some of the values are more entrenched or absorbed from the father. And I felt that had a lot to do with the material world, so less about the emotional self. It was really about their identity and backbone as somebody who could achieve something in this world in terms of their ambition, but also in terms of their ability to tap into a power base that gave them what it is that they need by means of the material world. So money in the bank, buying a house, having security in a way that actually validated their material existence. I felt that was actually going to be really important for this child. I felt that this child, as they got older into their teens, there's a strong ambition that starts to become quite apparent. And I felt that the father's influence was going to sort of play into that in a way where the child would then really absorb a lot of what the father had to contribute in terms of stepping it up and moving into like a male-dominated world, actually. And I felt that this child, in the beginning, it's very much about their relationship with the mother. And I felt that, like, you would never want to give that up. It's like you just never want that to end, really. There's so much innocence and so much beauty and purity in that initial period of their life. It's like when you're pregnant with them, you never want that to stop. And then, as they come into this world up until about, say, maybe 12, 13 years old, you don't want that to ever end either. But it does. And it's not that it's unfortunate. It's just that this child kind of, it's almost like a twist in their world, like all of a sudden they become quite a different person on another level. They'll always be the person that you knew, or but then I just kind of felt this strength come up that was about achievement and ambition. I felt that they had something to say, and that they wanted to engage in the world and they wanted to leave a mark in the world, That's what I felt. I felt that there's something very tasteful about the child as well as they grew up. I kind of felt like there was a very refined cultural aesthetic, like a really sort of like stepping up in terms of like a very sophisticated understanding of what they wanted to be and how they wanted to do that. I felt like a stubbornness that kind of, like a pushback that starts to happen in a way where they tap into a male-dominated world is what I felt, and that they had a bit of a problem with that. It's like they wanted to challenge it. It's like, you know what? I'm not going to be pushed around. I'm not going to be bullied. Not going to be told what I can and what I can't do. I don't want to be invalidated, you know. I don't want, and also I don't want to be just, you know, a mother or a parent when I get older. I want my life to be of substance. I want to have something to show for it in a way that reflects my independence. You know, I don't need another man. You know, like I'm kind of going down this line that this could be a girl now, but you know, like I need this to be interchangeable for you at the same time. But it did feel like that. I felt like this child getting into the teenage years just really stood their own, you know, their own. They really stood on their own 2 feet. They stood their ground. They pushed back when was necessary. They had red lines. It's like don't cross certain boundaries that you know infringe upon, I want to say, femininity. That my femininity is strong, you know. I kind of felt that reflected here with Mentor. It's almost like I've got something to say and I want to share what it is that my experience is about in this world. So passing on the wisdom of experience, which has initially been sort of, you know, from conception, it's been from the mother and the father. And then you've had this really strong nurturing ground with the mother, you know, like at the beginning, you know, up until about maybe 12, 13. And then kind of going on from that, it's much more of an influence of the father, but in a positive way. You know, it's about teaching them to stand up to a male dominated world is what I keep on getting. Yeah, so won't be pushed around, very ambitious, and needs to flex in a way where they tap into their ambition. You know, like it's this idea of achievement. I want to be something. I want to have something to show for my efforts. I want to get out there. I want money and I want a career. You know, it's really important to me, but I also want to play with the big boys. I'm not going to be pushed around by them. I'm going to stand up to the bullies is what I keep on getting. I felt that they would want the good things in life, and that they were very tasteful and refined. And I felt that as they grew older, this idea of having children was going to be really important to them. You know, returning back home was also another part of what I felt was really important. Perhaps they'd go away or discover their lives in a way where they were no longer in the family home, but coming back home was going to be very important, that they needed to be near family, near where they were brought up, in an environment that actually pulled the family together. I felt that this is a child who would never be very far from home geographically, very close to you in proximity, very close to you in terms of your relationship, both the mother and the father, or the mother and the father energy. I hope this reading has made some sense, and if it has, feel free to leave some comments down below. It'd be great to get your feedback. Like and share this video where you can. Hit subscribe. Tap in the bell icon. That'll give you notifications for any future readings that I post. And if you're interested in the services that I offer as a psychic tarot reader, you can go to www.tonyfoxtarot.com. Plenty of information about who it is that I am, what it is that I do, and how it is you can access my service as a psychic tarot reader. Thanks very much and take care.